So it's time for us to go and take a look at the Google Pixel 8 and see how this particular phone holds up in 2024. Now, this phone has only been out for a little bit of time, so there's definitely not anything crazy or terrible going on with this phone, I'll definitely tell you. There is still so much capability and so much power behind this phone. And the craziest thing is that this phone is only going to get better and better and better throughout time. Google gave us one of the best things with this particular phone last year, which was enhancing an insane feature that this phone already had. And I will tell you, from everything that I've seen within the last year, I don't really think there's going to be a reason why you want to even upgrade from this phone for at least the foreseeable future, if I'm being honest. Now, this phone is not going to be perfect, but even now in 2024, there's still already cool improvements that this phone has had. And even with the next version of Android, there's already some really cool things going on for the future of this device too. So we'll talk about this phone throughout this whole entire video. I will tell you, if you want to pick up this phone or some other phones I'd recommend buying this year that are, at any point in this video, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of the Google Pixel 8, one thing I'll tell you, I'll just tell you straight out the front, this was a very good looking phone. For the price that you were paying for this phone, which wasn't a cheap price by any means, it was a very good looking device. You were getting a fairly large 6.2 inch OLED display on the front. It was a 120 Hz panel. It went up to 2000 nits of brightness. And it was a very, very good looking device when it came down to it. It was very minimalistic. The thing that, Google kind of changed from their previous Pixels to this one was kind of what the Pixel 5 kind of brought, which was this rounded type of design and rounded architecture to it. Before this, with the Pixel 7 and the Pixel 6, I will tell you, I liked the design. It was definitely unique, but it was a different type of design. It made it look like kind of like a different phone, and it just kind of was a little bit uncomfortable to hold in the hands sometimes. These rounded edges give this phone a much better feeling, which is something I like and appreciate a lot from these particular devices. So if I'm going through and buying some sort of device like a Google Pixel 8, I love the design of this thing because it looks so good. So this in and of itself is a very, very cool thing going on for this particular phone. And like I said, the design of the Google Pixel 8 is amazing, and it is by far one of my most favorite things going on, especially on the front side. Around the sides of this phone, it's kind of like this somewhat curved side to it. So it's not anything super crazy, but it does look really nice. And although it's not as flat as something like the Samsung Galaxy S24 or the iPhone 15 Pro or anything, it's still a good looking side, and I don't have that much to complain about here from that side either. On the bottom, you're getting a USB Type-C port, which still looks, good. You can charge this thing up. There's not really that much to complain about here. On the backside, you're getting this dual camera setup, so a wide and ultra-wide camera. We'll talk about it in a second. You're getting the standard, actually it's like a kind of a standard glass back. It feels really, really nice, and it's something I like a lot about this particular phone. You're getting wireless charging and reverse wireless charging as well, which is another really cool thing going on for this particular device too. And overall, what I'll definitely tell you is I like the way this phone kind of feels and looks like. I think there's a lot of capability behind this phone still. There's endless amounts of capability here, and it's a very, very good looking phone when it comes down to it as well. So from that side, definitely gets a thumbs up for me. Now from the price tag side, this is another interesting thing. As you may know, this is not a brand new phone anymore. You can buy it brand new, but it's been available since October of last year. And because of that, you can go ahead and buy this thing in the used market for about $400. In fact, you can probably get it even cheaper than that if I'm being honest, but there is still a lot of cool, amazing stuff to kind of have behind this phone just from that capability alone. So from the price tag, it's really not that bad here, and I do think that is another really cool thing going on for this particular device when it comes down to it. Now, on top of that, another big thing going on for this particular device is its camera performance. And with this particular phone, you are basically getting a dual camera setup on the backside, a 50 megapixel wide angle lens and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. And on the front, you're getting a 10.5 megapixel ultra wide camera. The thing I will tell you about this, phone for the most part, it's a very decent sensor. 4K at 60 on the front and the back. That is nothing to kind of just gloss over. That is some really good stuff going on for this particular device. And just having that type of capability alone right there is another really nice thing going on for this particular phone. And I actually do like this phone a lot from that particular standpoint of just basically being able to go through and just, the camera quality is very decent for everything that I kind of threw at it. Now, some things you may want to just keep in mind here for the most part. For one, your particular device, you may experience sometimes some sort of weird issues, in some social media applications, maybe the camera's not going to be perfect, but I do think for a lot of people out there, it's going to be perfect enough. And if you're not really worried about using this phone on Instagram or TikTok or something, you're not going to be that, you're not going to have that terrible of an experience. But even from that side, you're still going to have a good experience when it comes down to it. This is a very good phone with a lot of capability for sure from the camera side. And I do think for a lot of people out there, you're going to have a really, really good time with it. So I just want to say that I want to get that out of the way, because for a lot of people out there, including myself, this is a very cool thing going on for this particular device when it comes down to it. So personally for me, definitely gets a thumbs up for me for sure. Now, on top of that, another big thing going on for the Google Pixel 8, which is probably one of the biggest advantages for this particular device when it comes down to it, is the fact that this phone is going to be getting software support for so long. It is actually pretty insane how good of a job that, Google kind of does already with their software. And the fact that this particular phone is only going to continue getting software support for like years and years and years is absolutely insane. The craziest thing here is that as of this point, the Google Pixel 8 in and of itself would have already gotten like several years of software updates when it came down to it. The fact that this particular phone is going to be getting, 7 years of software updates from the first day it came out is absolutely insane to me. But you also have to keep in mind another very, very crazy thing. The fact that this particular phone is getting, so many years of software updates. A lot of people, in my opinion, are probably going to move on from this device when it actually comes down to it. Like, I don't think they're going to be using this phone on an everyday basis when it eventually, kind of gets done with software support. You have to think in mind, like, how many people are using 7-year-old phones right now? There's not a lot of people who are doing that. And I do think this in and of itself is another insane thing going on with this particular device when it comes down to it in and of itself as well. So another big thumbs up for this particular device, and I do look at this type of phone and I'm very, very happy when it kind of comes down to it, just from the camera side as well. The performance has always been one of those things with these newer Google Pixels that I've just not really been the biggest fan of. So since the Pixel 6, Google's been making their Google Tensor chipset, which I do think there's been improvements, and I think there's been a lot of cool things that Google's kind of done with this chipset. But with these Tensor G3 chipsets, G2, G1 chipsets, like, I feel like for the most part, if Google just kind of kept their Snapdragon chipsets and just kind of went on and made a phone that way, I think that would have been a better approach. I think Google kind of either needs to team up with, like Snapdragon and make better Snapdragon chipsets or something like that. Like, I don't feel like their Mali's, systems right now are the best. And I do think that is that's just me being completely honest. I do feel like Google needs to improve their chipsets a little bit. I will tell you though, for the most part, the performance is still very good. These phones have very, very good performance. And for the most part, anything I've really thrown in this particular device, it's been able to handle it for the most part, right? The performance is very good. All of my speed tests I've really ever done have given me very, very good experiences from these particular devices, which has been excellent as well. So I think that is in and of itself another really cool thing going on for this particular phone. So the performance is still great, but it may not be as great as something as the Samsung Galaxy S23 or the Samsung Galaxy S24. And that's just one of those things you're going to have to keep in mind as of this point. So keep that in mind. And I will still say the battery life is very good too. 4,575 mAh battery, very good size battery, with wireless and reverse wireless charging, and definitely gets a thumbs up for me from that side as well. So when it comes down to it, I will tell you, the Google Pixel 8 definitely gets a thumbs up for me in almost every single way. It is a beautiful device with so much capability, and I look at this phone and I'm still very, very happy with it. Is it perfect? No, clearly there's some issues with it here and there, but I do look at a device like the Google Pixel 8 and I still think it's completely worth buying, and I would honestly recommend the average person to buy this phone. It's almost like the most perfect phone or the most perfect Android phone that you could possibly buy. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.